In this tutorial, I'll teach you how to install animated overlay files into VideoStudio. You'll learn how to add them to your timeline, rotate and resize them, add multiple layers, and more. I'll also show you how you can get creative with the overlays using a few advanced options. Before we get started, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you'll find a link in the description below that will take you to our tutorial page on the Discovery Center. Here you can download a written copy of this tutorial to follow along. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is bring the overlay files into VideoStudio. You'll receive an installer.exe file for your various overlays. So I have the folder open where my exe file has been downloaded. Now I'll double-click on the file to begin extracting it. I'll accept the terms and press Install. Once the setup has finished, I'll click Finish. Now these overlays will be installed in a folder located on your desktop. So now we're ready to import these files into VideoStudio. I've opened up my project in VideoStudio with the media already on my timeline that I want to add the overlays to. To import these overlays, I'll click on the Graphic tab. Then select Animation from the drop-down menu. Here you'll have a variety of other animated video overlays that you can use. I'll click on the Add icon, and then browse to my desktop where the multicolor confetti overlay files have just been installed. Then I'll left-click and drag to highlight all of the files, and then click Open. Now you'll see the overlays are now in the animation library and ready to work with. And you can click on one and then press play in the preview pane to see what it will look like. So I already have my main video added to the video track on the timeline. I'm going to drag the multicolor confetti 1 animation to the overlay track 1. From here you can adjust the size of the overlay by dragging on the orange boxes. You can also click and drag the overlay to reposition it. If we double-click on the overlay, it will bring up the Edit tab. From here, we can click on the Rotate Left or Rotate Right buttons to rotate the overlay as well. Now I want this overlay to fit my full screen, so I'm going to right-click on the overlay on the preview pane and then click Fit to Screen. If I want to adjust the speed of the overlay, I can click on Speed Time-Lapse. And from here, drag the tab to slow down or speed up the clip from 10 to 1000%. Then click OK. Another thing we can do is right-click on the overlay and select Video Fade In and Video Fade Out, so that the overlay softly fades in and out and isn't so harsh. Now let's say I want to loop this animated overlay so it will keep playing throughout my entire video clip. I can right-click on the overlay and select Copy. Then the copied overlay will automatically be ready for me to place on the overlay track beside the first one, and will play in sequence. I want to add a second confetti overlay to create an even bigger confetti explosion. To do this, right-click on the timeline and then click Track Manager. From here, change the amount of overlay tracks to 2 or more from the drop-down menu. Then click OK. Now I'll add the multicolor 3 overlay to overlay track 2. Again, I'll right-click on the overlay on the preview pane, then select Fit to Screen. And now I'll press play to preview my video, and you can see that using both overlays creates even bigger bursts of confetti over my media clips. Now let's try some more advanced ways to alter the overlays. I'm going to double-click on my overlay, and this time click on Color. From here, I can adjust any of the levels under the Color Correction tab to change the color levels of the overlay. By adjusting the hue bar, you'll see the colors of the confetti changing. And if I adjust the exposure level all the way down and the contrast level all the way up, you'll see my confetti is now all black, which gives it a completely new style. You can also play around with different effects to give the overlays motion. Just click on your overlay on the timeline then go up to the FX tab. I'm going to try the wiggle effect and drag that on top of my overlay on my timeline. Now, if I press play to preview, you can see that the confetti is moving around from side to side. You can try out any of these effects to customize your overlays. Finally, I want to show you how you can use the crop mode on any overlay. Here I have an image of this woman in front of a window. I want to use this snow overlay, so I'm going to drag it onto overlay track 1. And I'll make sure to resize it to fit to screen as we learned before. So now if I preview this, it looks like it is snowing inside the house. But I want it to look like it's just snowing outside the window. Now I could resize this by dragging the orange boxes, but I don't want to change the size of the overlay or snow particles, so I'm going to crop the overlay instead. To do this, I'll right-click on the overlay on the timeline and select Crop Mode. Next, I'll drag the edges of the overlay on the preview pane so that they are cropped to the size of the window. Now, if I press play, it has created a really beautiful image and it looks like it's snowing outside the window. These are just a few ways you can have fun using and customizing overlays to add great effects to your projects. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you'll find a link in the description below that will take you to our tutorial page on the Discovery Center. Here you can download a written copy of this tutorial to follow along and find other helpful tutorials for VideoStudio.